All right, I'm here with Jazz. You can see Jazz's tail is tucked and a little bit of quivering. She's uncomfortable being outside. And these dogs, and Grandma is behind the camera right now, and so she wants to be with Grandma. And so, see, the tail came out a little bit. We like that. Now, I fitted her up with a martingale collar because they do have a tendency to slip the leash, and so this is called a no-slip collar. You can use either a collar like this, or you can use a harness. If you use a harness, you want a front clip harness. Now, the technique I'm going to show you is basically a circling method developed by Denise Fenzi, F-E-N-Z-I. And she has a website, and I would recommend the Guardians in this case go to that website, and there's a $50 self-taught course. It's the circling method. And I would have you watch it. It's 50 bucks. Everybody can watch the videos and you're going to see. I'm going to give you kind of a snapshot of it, but she'll go through it in a lot more detail. I didn't develop it. It's her method, so I want to make sure she gets full credit. What does not teach the dog to walk with a heel, it teaches the dog to not lunge on the leash. Now, we don't have, and for expediency purposes, we're going to be walking in the street, which is not ideal. You want to find a big park where you can do this. We want the dog sniffing. But right now, there's a park over there, and that's where I would have you guys do it at first. But at first, you want to pick a park where there's nobody there. There's no other dogs, and we want the dog just to get comfortable. Now, what we want the dog to do is dogs have what's called an opposition reflex. If she's pulling this way and I pull back, it's going to cause her to pull more intensely forward. Yes, I know, sweetheart. And remember, don't pet her when she's like this, just lay your hand on her. So what I'm going to do is whenever she starts getting too far in front, I'm going to do a circle. Now, when we're doing a circle, a lot of the times, and I'm going to stand up now, but a lot of times when we do a circle, we turn really sharp like this. We want a very big circle. So when we're doing the circle, we're going to have like a 4 foot to like an 8 to 10 or 12 foot circle. Make sure you don't want to jerk it right away. The idea is to gradually, when the dog lunges this way, I get you going this way. So we're going to gradually turn them. And at first, anytime the dog, well, always, if the dog pulls or lunges, we immediately start doing a turn away from it. Now, let's say the dog wants to sniff something on the ground and it starts pulling there. Well, then I do the turn away, I walk away, and then I want to lead the dog back to that same thing. I don't want the dog to say, you can't sniff it. I'm saying you can't pull me to sniff it. And so, if you come back and it does it again, then you do another circle. If you start getting dizzy, do a bigger circle or an oval. Now, when I do this, I'm going to keep, you can keep her on whichever side you want. I'd like to have the leash dripping down between the dog and me. I'm going to have my hand through the leash. This should be a 6 foot leash. I'm going to hold it like this, and I'm going to anchor this to my sternum. This hand is not going to move. I'm not going to pull her with this hand. This hand is just simply to manage the leash to make sure she doesn't trip up. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to be walking this way. I'm going to have the Guardian, if she can, walk that way backwards. And so she can kind of watch me. Actually, maybe I'll have you in the street. We don't have direct sunlight. So let's have you go over there. And this way there should be some sniffs, hopefully, and you're going to be shooting at this angle. I'll be walking down the sidewalk. All right, and there we go. So if the dog, now you can do it either way, but if the dog is on this side, I would probably switch it to this hand, and this is now gripping the leash and on my sternum. And yes, I know, it's so tough being a Jasmine. And there we go, so you're fine. So now I'm gonna try to manage to not let her cross over me. So let's start walking backwards. And go ahead and just keep a pace going, walking backwards. I'm gonna have a little bit more distance, there we go. And you have a speed bump in 2 steps, there we go. So she pulled, so we just do a circle. And I can't pull in a circle. So she pulled again. Now she's kind of, I prefer she turns towards me. There we go. And again, I'm pulling to the side, not backwards. And again, if you get dizzy, make a bigger circle. And she wants to turn the other way. I would like her turning with me. So a lot of us, when we're walking our dogs, let's walk backwards a little bit. When we're walking our dogs, so I want to try to prevent her from doing this. I want her to turn the other way. But they do that a lot, I noticed. When dogs are walking, they actually burn more energy on a sniff. So there we go. I'm going to walk, circle her away. I'm a little bit rusty at this, so I probably had a sharp turn there. So I'm going to lead her back to where she was. Anytime she's sniffing, as long as you're not pulling on the leash, we're going to allow that. We want them to sniff. That's part of the whole deal. And this is easier than what we did before because Grandma wasn't with us. Now she's pulling a little bit and I was putting pressure on the leash. I shouldn't do that. So again, she's pulling. So we do a circle. And try not to stop on the circle. And then we lead her right back to where it was. And she can sniff, but she just can't put tension on the leash. All right, so you're going to be on this side now. You're going to go side to side. Eventually, you want to try to keep her on one side or the other.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to go back and forth and be switching your leash. Because of this, we're going to have you guys both walk that way. So actually, you could help. If you want to walk, put your back to her, and put your hand on her shoulder, and you're going to walk that way, and that way she can feel you. You're going to guide her walking that way. And I would have both of you in the street so you don't trip up. There we go. There we go. Pull. Eventually, the dog will start offering you circles. And that was too sharp, so keep walking backwards. There we go. You want the leash loose like that. There we go. So she's going. So I'm going sideways. And again, normally I'm not advising going into the street. We just don't have a lot of access here. So I'm going to use the neighbor's lawn a little bit.
That's okay.
Sniffing. We're going to stop and let the sniff. Remember, we're more interested on a walk than sniffing than anything else. So if she wants to sniff, we let her. As long as she's not pulling on the leash. So see what I'm doing here? I'm just holding it like this. I'm not even gripping. A lot of times you use like the okay hand, so you can go up and down. She's probably sniffing where other dogs are.
Yeah.
As long as it's safe to do so, that's totally fine. Don't pull them away. You got a lot of pottying to do, huh? Pulling on a leash, so now we do a circle. Keep this arm, the arm that's under your chest, right there. That was over too. That was probably didn't need a circle, but if you're in doubt, circle. So I'm leading her to where she can sniff some stuff. She pulls, but she's not pulling as intently if you notice it. Now the cool thing about this is you need to practice this a lot, but you'll notice, and again, I led her back to where she wanted to be. Just step the sniff, up, she pulls. And then we bring her right back to where it is. Yeah, she's kind of marking at this point, but that's okay. So she was almost starting to offer a circle. We didn't need one. Jazzy. See how her tail was nice and up?
Yeah.
She looks a lot more relaxed. I'm going to lead her these little flowers. A pull, not a lot of a pull, but a little bit of a pull, so we do a circle. And lead her right back. This is what we want to see. That was a little bit of a pull, so we're going to go around. We'll go around the fire hydrant. And kind of keep track of where you were. As long as they don't want to sniff when they get back there again, that's okay. Try not to stop like I just did there. I wanted to get her to sniff, and that's why I talked about it in the house, laying down some cheese. After a while, that'll kind of create that longing to check things out. See, yeah, she went in the circle a lot easier that time. So when you're doing this, the longer the walk is better. Normally I tell people to do exercise in shorter bursts, more intense, kind of like high intensity interval training. But for this exercise, the more practice you get, the better. So find a park though, because again, as you're seeing, there's not a lot of grass and area here, and the concrete is not very, there we go, don't pull her away if she's pottying. But the concrete is not going to have a lot of great sniffs. So you want to find a big park where you're far away from everybody, but eventually you want to pick a park where there are other dogs nearby, but far enough away where she can practice it. Are you going to take a duck now? You're doing it on camera for me, huh? Luckily we have poop bags. Always clean up your poop. Otherwise you'd be like Culver City. They don't let dogs, and any dogs in parks there, even if it's on a leash. So yes, we'll clean this up. There you go. We'll end this on
It's gonna be documented.
one last good little circle. And see how she's kind of figuring it out? I'm not even really, and don't stop on the circle. All right, Jazz, sit. Jazz, sit. All right, you can come closer. This is my buddy Jazz, not pulling on the leash. And this is the Denise Fenzi's method of teaching a dog not to pull or lunge on the leash by using the circling method. You're going to do it at the very end. She's like, I'm going to pull at the very end. Jazz, sit. Jazz, sit. I'm David. These are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that likes to pull or lunge on the leash.